Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NUFC 360 podcast. With me this week is Bo, Max, and Ryan. Gentlemen, how are we?
Good, Mark. I'm glad you actually asked us.
This is why I don't ask every week. I gotta.
Well, for those who care, I'm on top of the world. I'm having a great day, and for all our viewers, I hope you're doing well too. There you go, Mark. That's how you
absolutely.
do it.
That's all. Ignore the Yakumba Minter. If you've seen today, we're recording on the day where Minter scored an absolute worldie for Brighton. So we're not going to talk about that because I think I'll lose even more hair. So we're doing a transfer special this week. We're going to go through our budgets, realistic and dream signings of what we want to see in the club, and it's going to be striker because I think we've done centre back and right winger. We're only linked with centre backs at the minute, so it's really good that they're taking my notes of prioritise the right wing. But, Bo, with your beautiful smile, we're going to go to you first for your budget pick for Newcastle United. Who would you like to come in? If you had to pick a budget man, who is it?
I love this, Mark. I mean, I'm going way out of left field, especially since this is just a budget. We need somebody who can kind of come in, be second fiddle to Isak, somebody who's got a good injury record, and I'm going to go with Kyogo Furuhashi. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, who the hell is that? But it's plays for Celtic. Plays for Celtic in Scotland. Been there since 2021. 94 appearances, 58 goals. So it's about one and two around there. Really good link-up play. Loves to press the ball. Technically sound. Somebody who can he kind of reminds me of Shinji Okazaki back when Leicester ran it in 2015. A very, very hard worker, a grafter. Somebody who can come in and do a job, and he'll probably cost about £15 million. So he's a budget, cheap option. He's 29, so a little bit younger than Callum Wilson, but somebody to come in, graft their cheeks off for a couple years, and do a job. So
we're starting with £15 million. Do we think Celtic would sell?
That's the thing. They might. They've done a really good job with their Japanese players lately, and I think they might want to keep him. So I wouldn't be surprised if it'd be somewhere around 20 instead. I want to say they bought him for less than 5 at the time.
Yeah, I think he was an Ange Postecoglou signing, so a lot of experience in the Japanese league. So he brought a few good players over, and Kyogo is definitely one of them. Like Bo said, I think it's actually a really good shout. Whether he could step up in the Premier League and do it, obviously remains to be seen. But if you watch him for Celtic, like he was saying there, he's quick. He plays on the last man, and he grafts. So yeah, I like that shout, to be honest. And I reckon you could get him for about 15.
Yeah. Would he be better than Muto? Is the question.
Yes.
Could he emulate the goals we got from Muto?
Yes, he would.
Game. Oh, that is a good shout. I dare say he's better than the one that I've got. We'll go clockwise. Max, who is your Swedish pick?
Yeah, now I haven't picked a Swedish player, and since we already have the I know, but like we already have the best striker in the world in Alexander Isak. So realistically, all these players are going to be second choice. Yep. So my budget one is a really cheap one because it's Kelechi Iheanacho, who I think now is a free agent. He's 27 right now, if you don't remember, and he got 67 goal / assists in 196 games in the Premier League, which is quite a good return. He's been a substitution in most of those games also, so you have to take that into consideration. For me, it's a low risk, high reward type signing because you sign him on a free, they usually not bring as big. You don't have the transfer fee. You maybe paid like some sort of agent fee, and the salary might be a bit bigger than it would have been in the other case. But he's also a good technician, and I think from watching him through the years, I've always rated him a good finisher. Also, maybe a little bit slow, but he's good in link-up play. And I think with the experience for free is quite a good budget signing. That is.
I like that.
I've had a few people mention his name. The only reason why I would consider him is because he's free. There's a reason why he's a free agent now. And if I remember, was he from Man City? Is that where he went from Man City to Leicester? Never really lived up to the hype, did he? Ryan, who have you got on your budgety list?
So I don't know. I'm approaching this from an angle, right? It's Are we looking for a third choice striker, a younger mold type striker? Let's be honest, even as a third choice striker behind Wilson, you're practically now a second choice striker anyway, because we haven't even started the season and he's already had a surgery. So I've gone for, it is a budget option because I think obviously strikers are expensive. We all know that. I'm going for Yusufa Moukoko from Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, okay.
And now I know he's obviously got a huge potential, and he's been dubbed as a big wonder kid now for a long time. But by all accounts, he's available for 20 million euros.
Okay.
Slightly worrying, I think, because if he is as good a prospect as, they initially thought, why would they be letting him go for 20 million euros? So that makes me question a little bit about potential, his character, his desire, whatever. But he is just turned 19. He's still, very young. And if you look at his youth record, he absolutely scored goals for fun, right? He was playing at 15 years old in the under-19s and bagging, 30, 40, 50 goals a season, I think. 20 million, if you can encourage him to try and come in, I do think he could play on the wing a little bit as well. You say to him, you will get opportunities even as a third choice striker. We'll work hard and we'll try and improve you. Then maybe it might be a risk worth taking potentially.
I love that because, like you said, with his age, heck, if he could get half of his potential of what everybody else thought that he had, I think it would be a steal. I think it's one of those ones where you look at Minta, it could be 20 million right now.
Don't say that name.
I know. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, but 2-3 years down the line, he could be a 10 goal forward for you that you could sell for 40. I think that's a good shout.
My only risk with that is I think he's got essence of Freddie Adu. For those who know, the OG wonder kid on Football Manager. He found like 12 years old American scoring. This guy, I remember him. I can't believe he's still only 19. Yep. But didn't he hit the sea? He was playing at 15. Did he get like a professional debut?
It was 14, I think he got on, or something like that. 14, 15 he got on. First game in MLS.
Madness. But no, good shout. Although 20 million is the most expensive. You said 20 million euros. What's that, about 17, 16?
Yeah.
16 mil?
Let's say 60 there. Let's just go with the benefit of the doubt. We'll keep him budget.
Sounds better.
But yeah, exactly. So, but I'll go with a Moukoko.
So I will openly say I think the players that you've all chosen are probably better than the man I'm going to go with. But I've looked at what the team's missing. I've looked at what I like in football and what's not in football anymore. And it's the shithousery. And I don't see enough of it at Newcastle United. And I love it. That's what I live for. I love seeing someone wind the crowd up. Like Gordon, I was really excited when he came in because I'm like, oh, he's a proper little shithouse. He'll really get the crowd going. But Eddie Howe seemed to have, in a good way, focused that energy into being a better player. So I've gone for Everton's Neil Maupay.
Knew it.
He knows the Premier League. He can wind up opponents. He gets under people's skin. He scored 6 goals last year, which isn't great, but we've all kind of mentioned here, if we're keeping the strikers we've got, he'll play, third fiddle. Now, the backfire of having such a shithouse is that he could disrupt the squad because he is so. But I think he's hilarious, and I really like him. And I might not, maybe on reflection, might not want him in our squad causing that much issues, but I think he's great. And I think it only costs 10 mil. Everton didn't spend that much on him, and I think he'd be very cheap as well.
Now that I think about it, it's not a bad shout.
Well, I disagree. I'm speechless.
Yeah, I think I don't know about that.
Not for me. But you're right, Mark. You've got your reasons for wanting them. Hey, this is your opinion. So, if you want Maupay, let's get Maupay. But I think, it depends. At the end of the day, it is a third choice striker, right? So he's got consistent availability. I guess he doesn't seem to get too many injuries, and he could wind a lot of people up. So
he'll do all the dart celebrations. It'll be hilarious. It'll be great. It'll be amazing. Play against Real Madrid in a few years. I'll do the Jude Bellingham in front of him. It'd be outrageous.
If Joselu can turn his career around like he did, what's to say that Neil Maupay can't be scoring goals in the Bernabeu in 2 years' time, winning Champions Leagues? So there's hope for us all. I think that's the message from this.
So predictably, you've all disliked my choice. I just want to say you're all very predictable. If we were to choose out of the group, who's voting for what?
I'd like the Moukoko shout.
Yeah,
Moukoko.
I think that's
I
like that one too, mainly just because when you look at price and you look at potential, that's clay right there. Eddie could take him and mold him into something in comparison to
exactly.
Older and,
I would agree. I think everyone else we chose, and Neil plays 27. So even though I don't think Mokoko's good now, he's got that potential wonder kid Freddie Adu-ish about him. So Ryan wins that round, although we didn't make a competition last time. But we'll do it this time.
Yeah.
You're winning that round.
I'm going to go for Neil Mope because if I say it myself, I don't think my head will fit on the screen. So you're all digging us up here. Got a future in the Scotland game by the looks of it.
I'll take the silver. So next is the dream one. Who is out of reach? We're never going to get them. But if you could snap your fingers, they appear in front of you. Ryan, who is that man to appear in front of you?
I still haven't decided. I'm so torn. Right, I'm going to throw one out that I don't think would happen, and then I'm going to throw another one out, and then I'll decide on the spot which one I'm going to go with. All right.
We've got to go on a journey. Let's go.
We're going to go on a little journey. So what I like about football and what I like to see in a striker is a good old-fashioned number 9, right? Someone that can hold the ball up and can make life hard for defenders. I don't think we see that enough these days. It's so technically driven and players that need to play to a system. For that reason, I'm going for Nicholas Füllkrug from Borussia Dortmund.
Okay.
I think I love watching him play. I think his finishing obviously lacks, but in terms of, sometimes his finishing's there. I mean, you saw for Germany, he missed quite a few good chances in the Euros. But I love him. I just like watching him. I think he's a real handful. They bring him into the game or start the game. He's not necessarily that slow for his size, but in terms of you saw it at St James's Park as well and at their place, he is a right handful. And he gives defenders a terrible job. And I think he would offer us something different in terms of we don't really have that target man type player. We tend to have, Wilson and Isak who, Isak for his size isn't really that proficient in the air. Let's be honest. And Wilson, who typically tends to want to play on the last man's shoulder, but kind of has lost that yard of pace that he once had that made him so effective, right? I don't think that would happen because I think, obviously, I know Dortmund have just signed Guirassy, I believe. I think pending a medical or something like that. So it could potentially happen. There has been links with him, like AC Milan. That would be my dream choice. In terms of a more realistic dream choice, I've gone for Maximilian Bayer, right? So this guy... you would have seen him in German squad. I think he got on once in the Euros or so. But I was actually looking at the stats. He scored 16 goals last year. I believe it was for Hoffenheim. 16 Bundesliga goals at 21 years old. And that's pretty impressive stat, right? And by all accounts, just watching a few highlights of him, he seems to be fairly quick. He seems to have fairly quick feet. And I think, fairly versatile as well. He's played across all of the front three, so he can slot in at right wing, he can slot in at left wing, but he's primarily a centre forward. I like the sounds of that. I think, he would be an expensive deal to do, probably in the region of 40 million, maybe pushing 50 million. But that would be on the logic that Callum Wilson would leave the club. That would be the alternative. So Bayer would be the dream choice for me. I think it would be a good one. He's young, he's got room to grow, and he kind of fits the ethos of the club.
How old is Füllkrug?
How old is Füllkrug? He's actually 31, I believe. So he'd be a very
I thought
very rogue signing. Really that's why I didn't want to put him forward, really. But I just wanted to give him a bit of a shout out because I do enjoy watching him play.
I was going to say he's a great player. Yeah, he's a great player, a great target man. Like you said, he is old. I mean, he's younger than Callum Wilson, but he is technically old. I wonder how much he costs, though. I mean, that'd be the big thing.
31 years old, £8.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it doesn't really make sense, I guess, to replace a 32-year-old with a 31-year-old. So
he's younger.
I'm going to go with Maximilian Bayer.
Maximilian Bayer.
That's going to be my choice.
Well, from Maximilian Bayer to name. Max, who are you buying? Is your dream choice?
Well, my dream striker is Victor Gyökeres of Sporting Lisbon. Swedish, as you might know. He had an amazing season last season, scoring and assisting 49 in 44 games. I've seen him a lot in the national team, and he's a really good striker. I mean, he has all the abilities you want. He's powerful, he can score goals, he can create goals. He's quick, he's technical, he got a good hold-up play, he's a real presence in the box. The only problem is it's quite expensive. I mean, we're talking about, I think, at least 100 million euros.
Really?
And
for a Swede?
I think so.
Yeah, that's the reported price.
It's probably about
100 million. Yeah.
I think that's something like that. Yeah, and also I don't see him playing as the second striker behind Isak, which still is what we are looking for here. But I've also seen both of them play together in the national team, and they have quite a good relationship on the pitch. And so my dream signing would be him because he just got everything, and I really enjoy watching him play. It's like a full crew combined with the pacey other striker. It's really fun to see him play.
Quick question, Mark. In terms of the national team setup, so you've obviously got Kulusevski, Isak, and Gyökeres. How does it work? Does it play like a front three and Isak comes in off the left, or are they playing two up front and Kulusevski in behind, or what?
Well, it's been a bit up in the air this recent games because we got a new manager in Jon Dahl Tomasson. You remember that guy?
Yeah, my dad does. My dad can't stand him.
Yeah. Well, he's experimented with some formations, and I think Gyökeres was injured for the first games. He's been injured since he became the manager, so we haven't seen anything like that yet. But when our previous manager was there, it was 4-4-2 with Isak and Gyökeres up top together, or Isak as a 10, and then Kulusevski out on the right. Exciting team to look at for, but we need to qualify for some competition next time because it was boring to watch the Euros without us in it. But enough about Sweden. But yeah, Gyökeres is my choice.
We got to the final and I was bored. Yeah, good choice, man. Good choice. Bo, what's your dream signing? Your dream signing.
So dream signing, I am going to go with Dusan Vlahovic.
Ooh, okay.
I think it is. Yeah, from Juventus. 24 years old, 6'3", super tall. Didn't have an amazing year last year, but nobody at Juventus really did. But the year before that, I believe he was the Serie A player of the year. And then even at Fiorentina, he was very, very, very clinical as well. So he would cost an arm and a leg. I think he'll probably be around 100 million. But with Juve going through a sort of I'll say revamp. Some of the players are leaving. You know, they're trying to get rid of Chiesa for 20 million. They might be willing to sell. You know, I don't think I could see us spending 100 million on a striker again. But it would be amazing to see him and Isak combine. Just two very, very tall, very quick strikers who are clinical. Because I think that's kind of what we've missed this past year. If we look at some of the, obviously we scored a lot of goals this last year, but there are still plenty of moments where we probably should have scored more that if we were a bit more clinical. So he's probably my dream signing on that front.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I was expecting more from Vlahovic because he burst onto the scene, didn't he? And he started scoring. I think it was breaking records for Fiorentina, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There was that before. And I was thinking, oh, wow, this guy is like, you know, Mbappe, so Haaland level of goal scoring. He's still obviously playing for a very good team, but it's kind of his development's kind of gone and stagnated, if not maybe gone backwards a little bit.
Yeah, and everybody, I feel like Juve as a team last year definitely fell off just in general. I know there was a bit of discomfort between Allegri and the board, and they were trying to figure out exactly what was going to go on. Because I know they even were trying to get rid of Weston McKennie, some of the other ones over there. So hopefully, you know, we'll see next year if he takes that step forward. But he's got all the talent in the world. He's only 24, so lots of years left.
Now you all pick fairly exotic players, but I went dream and I went, who's going to score the most goals for Newcastle in the world? Big boring Haaland. You know I'm going to pick him, but that's the whole point of it. I thought it cost us 150 mil. He's 23 years old. He scored 27 goals last year, and everyone said he did crap because he scored 36 the year before. I think he would be a goal-scoring machine in our team. I think we equaled Man City last year for big chances created, and he'd put them in the back of the net. He wouldn't have to do as much interplay as he would there, as he does at Man City, which he looks a bit clunky. He's not, you know, he's more of a counter-attacking striker. He's more of a get the ball and just go type player, and that's the sort of football that we do play. And I think as well, he's big enough that if we do have a team that's got every man behind the ball, providing that we get good service to him, he's big enough, he's strong enough, and like Ryan said earlier, like the shortcomings of Isak is he's not really good in the air, whereas Haaland is very good in the air. Would you think 150 mil would get him, or do you think
get his
Man
left
City
leg,
quite good at?
I think it's closer to 2. I think he'd be closer to 2.
I think he'll leave Man City soon. I think he'll.
I think the only way he'll actually leave is probably run down his contract. I think that seems to be the only way you can seem to actually get these players to leave. So I think it would be something like that, where he'd probably end up at Real Madrid or Barcelona or something like that. Haaland, if I ever see Haaland in a Newcastle shirt, I'd freak. Yeah, I mean, it would be unbelievable. So yeah, never know. Give us a couple of years, and Haaland's contract runs out. You might fancy a move up north. There
we go. And it's cold up there. He'll miss the weather. Although he's born in Leeds, we're all Leeds. So if we're going to vote, if you all could choose from the players that have been presented to you, who would you like to see?
I'm voting for my own.
No, I'm going to vote for yours as well, Max.
I am too. Actually, I am too. I'll vote for Max's.
And I'm going to vote for mine because I think mine's the only semi-realistic option.
Not a realistic version though. It was Dream.
I know. I do like your Chris. And the thing is, there's a load of Premier League teams that missed out on him last year. Could have had him for 25 million. So
I don't know what they were doing.
Take a chance on players from the Championship. I think that's the moral of the story.
I think there's been quite a few big players come from the Championship recently, so I think Newcastle could do a bit of dip in the toe for the right player. And lastly, we're going to do realistic. Bo, who is your choice of realistic player? Who you think we could actually get?
So this is a tough one, just because I was really trying to decide between these two, and I'll put them up both. And I think I'm just going to go with one. One of them is Jonathan David. Obviously, he's been talk of social media for the last couple of weeks, linked with Newcastle from Lille, Canadian international. Not necessarily the biggest guy. I think he's about 5'10", 5'11", but he is quick. Not super. I wouldn't say he's super clinical, but you can definitely tell that there's a lot of potential there, and he's got all the talent in the world. The other one, which I think it's probably a bit more realistic if we're being honest, but I still think the price would be a bit higher than what his current market value is, and that's Dominic Solanke. I am not amazed. I'm not in love with him. I think he's a great in the air. He does know how to graft. He can score, but there's just something about him that doesn't get me excited. It doesn't make me happy. If we're being realistic, his market value is probably somewhere around 25 mil. But Bournemouth probably would want anywhere from 40 to 50, if we're being honest.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
And they're apparently 165.
Yeah.
Jesus. Dominic Solanke.
Exactly. So that's why they both are realistic for me. I could see Eddie Howe going for both of them. You know how he loves to get his former Bournemouth players. I think out of those two, Jonathan is probably more realistic just from a price perspective. But in terms of fitting Newcastle's identity, I think Eddie Howe would definitely want Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, good choice. I think David can play across the front three, can't he, as well, from what I know of him. I can't profess to seen a lot of game time from him. And French football's on its arse. Exactly. So now is the time to go pick the fruits in the vineyard. Guys, any other thoughts on John of the two?
I think it's one we've been linked with a few times. I don't know how truthful the sources are. And I was seeing West Ham apparently interested in him, but kind of being put off by agent fees. So maybe it's a tough deal to actually get over the line. But he's a pretty good player, pretty versatile, which Eddie Howe seems to like. So I think it would be a deal that would probably be quite realistic in the sense of if we were to get a striker to potentially replace Wilson, then he might actually be the one that comes in, right?
I think Dominic Solanke needs another season. He's had a Miguel Almiron season where he's been crap. He's been crap his entire career, and then he's amazing. Well, do it 2 years in a row, then I'll believe that you're actually all right. But Max, let's explore your final Swedish pick, the realistic Swede.
Yeah. Well, it isn't a Swede. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It is I was choosing between Ivan Toney first, but I thought we can only have one betting addict in the squad. It's going to be Toney at 2. So I scratched him off. And I went for Eddie Nketiah. So it's not it's not an inspirational kind of player, but I think he could do a job. I don't know if he would be comfortable with being second choice striker at Newcastle as well, as he's been in Arsenal. But I think his profile kind of fits the way we play, suits the how style of play, pressing, and he's quick, and I think he is a pretty good finisher, and he's still 25 only, so he has the potential to be better, especially under house training. And he would want to prove himself, I think, and he's good injury record as well. So as a second choice, I'd take him, but I mean, it's not really, yeah.
I would be cautious of even having him as a ball boy. I think he's tragic. I think he's awful. I think he is dreadful as a footballer. I really, really do. I really don't rate him. I don't, if I'm the only one that's sat here thinking he's rubbish. I think he's really, really bad.
There are days when you watch him play and you're like, okay, I think there's a player here, and then there's other days.
What days are these? What day was that?
It was a while back.
I think I switched back to Ivan Toney. I think I don't know.
Max, I'm going to back you up here a little bit. I don't think Nketiah is as bad as Mark's making out, to be honest with you. I think he goes through hot streaks at Arsenal. He has scored goals for Arsenal. Let's not forget that. And he's English, so Eddie Howe will automatically want him. That's a joke. That's a joke. Before everyone gets annoyed. But no, I think, look, I mean, ultimately, he would have to come in as a second choice. He'd have to fight his way into the squad. He might not want that. But I do think he's still fairly young. He's fairly quick. He's not a bad finisher either, to be fair. And he would suit Newcastle's style of play. Wouldn't be my number one choice, but in terms of realism, we are talking realistic here. It might actually be a deal that, given he's probably wanting to look to move on to play more first-team football, I don't think it's the worst shout in the world, to be honest.
The only thing I thought he had going for him, this is the last I'll say on this man, is I thought he was like 12 years old still. I thought he was still in his teens. I thought the fact that he's 25 and still can't finish. But anyway, he's better than Neil Maupay. Ryan, yes. Right, Ryan, what is your realistic pick?
I'm so torn again tonight. I don't know. Sitting on the fence all night. I've got two again. Right, so there's one that's a bit more exciting, a bit of an unknown, and you get excited by these unknown players, right? Karim Konate.
The one at RB Salzburg.
Salzburg, yeah. So
knowledge.
20. You play a lot of Football Manager, yeah.
Oh, mate, Wonder Kid Supreme.
He's at Newcastle at the minute on my save actually, and he's been banging them in. So yeah. Anyway, more about him, I guess. He would be obviously a bit of a risk, but I'm kind of assuming he'd come in as a third choice, maybe go out on loan for a year and then maybe come in to replace Wilson. But he's 20 years old, I believe, 21, one of the two. 20 goals last season in the Austrian Bundesliga. He's pretty good in the air. I mean, he's not technically the best footballer in the world, but by all accounts, he's a poacher. And I mean, that's all you ultimately need from a striker. If he's going to score you goals, then you're not too fussed about the other side of his game. So yeah, that was an option, but again, it's a bit of a risk given that he's playing in another league. But I mean, no disrespect to that league. Obviously, there's been some good players in that league. I think Haaland actually came from Salzburg, didn't he? So I mean, there has been some good strikers, and they have an eye for a good striker. So yeah, maybe that's one we could explore. Probably be available for 25-30 million. Second option I had, this is a bit more rogue, I guess, is actually David Fofana from Chelsea.
Okay.
So he went on loan to Burnley last year, and I actually thought he looked pretty good, to be honest with you. There was a few games, he scored a couple of really nice goals. I think he only got 4 or 5 goals, but he's still fairly young, and I think he's only half a season, Mark. Give me a chance.
4, you say?
But in terms of if you watched them, I think he actually improved them when he came in second half of the season. I know they were a pretty poor team, but he's pretty quick. He's quite explosive. He's not a bad finisher by all the looks of it. But he's also quite good at linking up play as well. He seems pretty good technically. A lot of times he used to, when you watch him for Burnley, drop into the pocket and bring other players into the game. given we've got good wingers. We've got one good winger on the left in Gordon. It could be something that, as a second, third choice could be interesting. I think it'd be a hard deal to do, given Chelsea did buy him and probably want to keep a hold of him, given that potential. But you could maybe look at bringing him in on a loan with an option to buy potentially if the fee's good enough, and Chelsea obviously want the money. So yeah, that would be probably the choice. So, but I am going to go with Konate purely because I think I want a bit of excitement in there, and Fofana is a little bit too boring in it. Premier League, we've all seen him. So yeah, let's go with Konate.
Well, I don't know if you two agree with me, Bo, Max, but I think the Red Bull model, when you hear youngsters from these clubs, they don't make many mistakes. So I would, say it's a bit of a risk. I think a lot of the risk goes when it's coming from a team with RB in front of it.
It's usually some other Bundesliga team buys the player from Salzburg, and then it's really good in the Bundesliga, and then you buy him later for like double the price you could have bought him from the beginning. So it's just
it's a bit like Sesko, isn't it? Really? Yep. Yeah, he's just
exactly. That's a good example.
And Kunku, where did he come from before he was at Leipzig?
I don't know where he was before.
PSG.
Right. Well, sticking with the RB link, although when I say realistic now, you've all been quite realistic with like it could be 20 mil, could be 30 mil. My guy is going to cost about 50 mil, 60 mil. And I can't profess to watch many games. I think I've only seen him play once. He plays for RB Leipzig, and it is, I want to say Luis Openda. He's 24. He scored 24 goals last year. He's a beast. He's very quick. Yeah, 24 goals. Mate, tore it up last year. He had a very good season. And to say, he's young. He's coming into the age now where it's similar age to Isak, so they can both. Obviously, Isak gets ahead of him, but we're the richest team in the world, so let's start acting like it. Let's get a good player in that can sit off the bench and come and do a job. I would say, 50, 60 million pounds. So do we think that's a realistic amount of money? Because when I see players come from RB Leipzig, I feel like they're a 40 to 60 million pound selling team. I think he'd join us. Thoughts on my FM wonder kid?
He's realistic. I don't know, man. The last couple times I've watched him play, he's very quick, very, very quick. But he gets offsides. I don't know if it's just them trapping him or what, but he was offside so many times the last time I watched him, and I was like, man, I don't know if he would be able to translate. But I will say he is extremely quick and he can score. But, I'll take it. At this
point, 24 goals in the Bundesliga. I mean, that's no small feat, right? And I think that's kind of gone under the radar, to be fair, Mark, because I didn't actually know.
No, I didn't know that.
Let's not forget they've also got Benjamin Sesko in there as well, right? So you actually might be able to offer him, not necessarily to say he's the out-and-out first-choice striker, although it appears he is. They maybe play a two-man up top. I don't really watch a lot of Bundesliga, to be honest. But
I think they do.
I think, the Premier League is ultimately a league where a lot of players want to play in, so I don't think it would be a problem trying to get him in. I think it would just obviously be the fee that would go behind it, right? And they're notoriously quite difficult. They will get the valuation out of their players, but I think it's a good show.
And the only thing I would say, in caveat, is that that Romelu Lukaku gets ahead of him in the national team, and my God, that man cannot score anymore, and he needs to stop eating Big Macs. So for the last round, boys, who are we picking? Who is the pick for everyone? I'm voting for RB Salzburg's Konate. I like that one.
You had me on hook there, Mark. Pull that Salzburg out of nowhere.
Mark, I'm gonna ride with you on this one. I'm very hesitant, but I think the benefits outweigh the risk with him. So
Maximilian,
I haven't seen him play, so I really don't know.
Same, mate. But Football Manager doesn't lie.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust you guys. I'm going with the same. I'm trusting the Football Manager god.
There we go. Well, did you win 2 rounds, Ryan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there's a dark day.
Just another day at the office. I'm gonna go for Openda. Purely because I'm going for it. I mean, I'm sitting here saying Konate, and again, I'd be lying if I said I've watched a lot of Karim Konate. It is a risk, right? But at the end of the day, we've got the scouts in there, and we're just giving our opinion for a bit of fun. But I will go for Openda, I think, purely based off the fact that he's output, and he would give us that output that and a bit of pace, and even quicker front line, which I'd like to see us have. Really, I'd like us to be absolutely rapid on the counter attack. So yeah, Openda.
Good stuff. Well, let's hope we do get that centre back that we so desperately need at the end of this chat. But boys, thank you very, very much for joining me on the last episode of these transfer specials. Guys, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment below. Who would you vote for in each round, and who are your 3 picks for Newcastle United? But boys, thank you again. Until next time, guys, take care.